Now that we have our interval data defined and we have checked before doing the survey, and we know there's no issue that will prevent us from desurveying our data, so we can actually go ahead and desurvey. So for that, I'm going to create a new variable, and we are going to be using the rmsp.d, and then I can press tab, desurvey. There you go. And the desurvey function only takes 3 required arguments, which are the color, survey data frame, and interval data frame. So let's do that. Color, survey, and we are going to be using our survey, our merged assay. So if I run this cell, this is going to perform the desurveying. And now if I inspect this object, I can see that it has all the data from the tables, but it also now has coordinates. It has the mid coordinate of each data, and it has also the start and end coordinate of each one of the data. So now that we have coordinates, we can actually visualize this data. So in order to visualize the data, as I mentioned before when we loaded the color data, every spatial object in RMSP have this function that's called view 3D that we can use for visualizing in 3D. When we are building a viewer for more than one element, what I like to do is to do rmsp.viewer, and this will initialize a viewer. So I can actually capture that into a viewer object. And now what we can do is to do let's start with color. So I want to add my color to the viewer. So let's do color view 3D. We can label it. So let's use the label and give it a name, which is color. We can change some attributes like point size. We know that the color is kind of a point data, and we can now say that we want to add the color to a specific viewer. So that's the viewer argument. So this will add my color to my viewer. So what else can I do? So we also have the desurvey object, which is also a spatial object that has coordinates. So I can do desurvey.view 3D. We can label it desurvey assays. And let's say we want to use the viewer. And because this is a interval data with start and end interval, information, we can actually plot this as tubes. So if I do tube radius, I can control the radius of the tubes that are displayed in 3D. So if I just run this, I can now see my color and I can see my desurveyed data. But I cannot see any variables yet. It's just colored with a solid color, which is orange, could be red. So in order to see the variables, we have to specify the variable parameter. And that's the first parameter here. So I want to see copper and I want to see geo code, which is our geological logs. So if I run this cell again, I now can see more information. So I have the locations of my color and I have my copper assays. So whenever I don't have any value, that means it's just that is missing the data. So this is just the locations where I do have the assay for copper. What I can do is to visualize another variable. So if I go here, I can select geocode, and I can also take a look at the loaded geological logs. And then I can inspect and see if that's all okay. If that's okay, I can proceed with my workflow. This is all the detail I'm going to give about the viewer right now. We're gonna get into more details when we get into some more specific visualization in the next notebook.